Welcome back to the Boneyard Podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Shafit, along with my good friend, Joshua Killian. Josh,
What's up?
Is it Killian or Killian?
Hey, the second one is a little fancier. Sometimes I go with the second one. But with you, the first one's fine. First one's fine.
You can call me anything, but don't you call me that.
Right.
No, somebody asked me that today. My last name is a different one for sure. And yeah, so somebody asked me how to pronounce mine, and they asked me if I get Shafit very often. And I told them, I said, if I had a nickel or a dime for every time somebody's misspelled or mispronounced my last name, I would not need the job that I was working when talking to them. So, Josh, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. Honestly, your last name, I never said it because I was gonna butcher it. I just didn't know how to get it out. I was like, I'm gonna wait for him to say it. That way I'll hear it and I'll just repeat after him. From there, I'll lock it in.
Smart guy. That's a diplomatic answer. That's a diplomatic way to do things. But Josh, another week. ECU football's back this week. It's Donnie Kirkpatrick talked about it a little bit. I guess it was last week during his press conference, and that yes, it's a bye week, but it's not like a typical bye week where you have a full week to prepare for the next week. You have the short week after the bye week, which is strange. So it's not like a full bye week, but it's like a half a bye week, right? So, Josh, let's get into it. Episode 166.
166.
Number 66. Do you have one?
I do.
I saw yours.
So,
I like it.
Mine is, I this weekend actually went down to Charlotte Motor Speedway and watched the Roval one more time. I really wish they would have cut it from the schedule next year because attendance was horrific. But I will say NASCAR will always have a special place in my heart. Hometown being Hickory, where NASCAR legends are born. This NASCAR driver actually won a couple times in Hickory. He only drove the number 66 for one season, 1998. And in that season, he ended up winning the most races in the 68 of two in any series, the top series and the middle tier series, which he was in.
Wow.
So, this is a legend in the game. He's still only 49 years old. He could technically still be out there right now. He just retired 2018. In 1998, he won two races. He's great. Greatness is all around him. It is the one and only Elliott Sadler.
Very distinct accent too.
Yes,
he's got that like smooth Southern drawl that he just sounds like a NASCAR driver.
He does.
I grew up around NASCAR, going to Charlotte and Bristol, and why can I not think it? What's the one down there?
Darlington?
Not Darlington. Racing fans are going to be punching their steering wheels. Rockingham.
Oh, you went to the Rock. Okay.
I went to the Rock several times. My grandfather worked for General Motors, and we'd sit up in the box or in the booth.
Mm-hmm.
He sat in the General Motors booth, where Richard Childress, who is a family friend of mine. I shouldn't say of mine, of my family. Richard Childress and my family go back a long time. I used to live 3 minutes from him. But yeah, I went to all the races as a kid, and I'll tell a quick story about Richard. When I was probably 5, 6, and we went to a race, and I was sitting there, and I was asking him. I was sitting there on the front row of the booth, and it was it was a practice session for the then Winston Cup, and then Richard Childress is sitting right next to me. I sat down right next to him. I'm eating like my crackers and whatever junk food they have up there in the booth, and I'm talking to him. And this was, I guess, shortly after Dale Earnhardt died, and he was spotting, and he was spotting for a guy named Kevin Harvick, trying to kind of see what Kevin had to offer before he brought him onto the team. And I asked him, I said, who do you pull for? He said, I pull for a couple of guys, but right now I'm really watching that. I guess he was driving the 29 car then. I'm really watching that 29 car. His name's Kevin Harvick. And I said, oh, that's cool. My favorite driver is Jeff Gordon. And all the people in the booth were trying to get me to stop talking to him. My grandmother was like, no, Richard's talking to him. Let him talk to him. And so, I mean, we go to Childress Vineyards all the time. We're members at Childress. And we went with my grandmother a couple years ago to one of their holiday festivals. And he kind of hangs out. If you've ever been there, he hangs out up top near the offices. He has like kind of a private area for himself. And he's kind of just looking down over everybody that's at his vineyards. And he saw my grandmother walk in and he came down the steps, didn't say anything to anybody else, walked right up to my grandmother and gave her a hug and talked to her for 20 minutes of like old friends. And so, that's my Richard Childress story. Richard and my family go way back. So, I got plenty. Josh, you and I can talk plenty of racing stories. I got another one about Dale Earnhardt. I won't bore everybody with right now. Dale Earnhardt Jr. That is. But my number 66, Josh, I have two. I'm gonna go with two. Artie always clowns me, and since he's not on the podcast, I'm just gonna talk about it anyways. For always picking Braves legends and Hurricanes legends, and that's just what I do, right? Like. And when you're in the number 66, you're not talking about somebody that like these are the numbers that you got during practice or during spring training, and that's just the number you got, right? But I got two, and both of them have ties to the state of North Carolina. The first, Bryce Wilson, pitched for the Braves a couple years ago. Now I believe he's in the Milwaukee Brewers organization, still continuing on his career. The second is, this guy, he and I used to go back and forth on Twitter. We shared DMs. Like he was one of the coolest guys out there. Matt Marksberry. He ended up having to retire early due to a health condition or a health problem. And Matt Marksberry went to Campbell University. So two North Carolina ties with my number 66. So it's not chalk. It's not chalk because they're just Braves. So, and the Braves are in the postseason. So that's what matters right now. But Josh, the Boneyard Podcast is proud to be members of the Variety Sports Podcast Network. Check them out. I got asked tonight, hey, can we do the NHL season starting tonight? Can we do an NHL podcast? I said, no, guys. I got to do the Boneyard. Boneyard comes first, of course, but check us out. We're gonna be starting to record every week, the 5-hole podcast. Your boy's gonna be leading it. Check it out. Make sure you subscribe right here. If you're watching on Variety Sports Network, subscribe right now. If not, go follow them. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you do that, you'll be a friend of the podcast. If you don't, you can walk the damn plank. But Josh, lots is going on right now in ECU, in the ECU athletics world. A lot of good.
Oh, a lot of good. A lot of good.
Bad, but a lot of good.
A lot of good. It's like which Infinity Stone do you want? It's greatness all around right now for the Pirates. You're probably just not paying attention.
Yeah, and if you're not paying attention, you should start now because, look, the Pirates are hot. Maybe not on the gridiron, but the Pirates are hot. And it's across the board right now.
It is.
I mean, we may not be a football school right now, but we're a damn near everything else school.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you want to talk about basketball, we'll talk about that in a second, but you can talk basketball. I mean, both teams on the rise. I mean, the highest ranking preseason in a conference that I can remember, and I think probably ever.
Yeah,
right?
Gotta be.
I mean, since they started doing preseason conference rankings, this has to be one of the highest for basketball.
We've been in the pits for a while.
Not to mention, like ECU lacrosse just finished up. They had a pretty good season. Women's soccer is number 2 in the conference right now. Big game tomorrow night. Host number 10 Memphis, number 10 in the country Memphis, who's 10-1-0, 4-0-0 in the American tomorrow night in Johnson Stadium. Get out there. It's free. It's free. Kind of get ready for Thursday night by pre-gaming with the women's soccer team. I'm telling you, get out there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's huge, right? Like we see how these athletes build off of momentum from the crowd. The Lady Pirates need you. They need you out there tomorrow night, and it's free. It's free. Go tailgate the game. Tailgate the women's soccer game. If you send us a picture of you tailgating the women's soccer game, if you send it to us, DM it to us, tweet it at us, whatever, whoever does that, I'll buy them. The first person that does it, I'll buy them food. I'll buy their meal at Sup Dogs after the game. How about that? Go tailgate. If you send me a picture of you tailgating the women's soccer game, I'll buy your dinner. And it doesn't have to. I'll just buy you a Sup Dogs gift card. Because why not? Also, I mean, Sup Dogs, great supporter of the Team Boneyard NIL collective for ECU. And, I mean, Brett, huge friend of the podcast. I mean, I think we've had him on 3 or 4 times. So, yeah, check that out. Anything else, Josh, that I missed here?
I'll put it like this. ECU soccer has the potential of being ranked top 25 in women's soccer after tomorrow night. I mean, that's ridiculous to even think about 4, 5, 6 years ago. Like that would be ridiculous to think about. And they've recruited well. They've gotten the right transfers, and it's just it's happening. It's happening. I mean, Memphis has only lost 1 game this entire season. No draws at all. Like they've been dominant. 10 wins, 1 loss. That's crazy. And the only loss was to number 7 Alabama. So it's not like it was a bad loss. It was a quality loss. So if ECU can beat them with your support at the stadium, if I didn't live and work in Wake County, I'd probably try to make it out there. If I lived about 45 minutes closer, I'd probably try to make it out there. To be completely honest with you, because this is probably the biggest game in the women's soccer team's history. So, I mean, I can't emphasize it enough. If I was in Greenville, I'd be there. I would be
there. Yeah, I mean, get out there. Get out there. Do your damn job as a Pirate and get out there. I'm tweeting it out right now. First person who sends us a pic of them tailgating the ECU women's soccer game tomorrow night, we'll send you a $25 gift card. Tag us. Hey, we'll make it happen. And so yeah, let me finish tweeting this out. But also, I mean, volleyball, Josh.
there.
I mean, shout out friend of the podcast, former intern Izzy Marinelli and the volleyball squad. What are they, 14-4?
Yeah. 14-4. Like that is crazy to think about. 14-4. Because that's, I mean, who would think that EP volleyball would be this good? I mean, it's all around greatness.
I mean, it's great to be a Pirate right now. Overall, it's just great to be a Pirate right now. And yeah, the football team's going through what they're going through, but it's all in all, it's great to be a Pirate. It's a great day to be a Pirate every day. But right now, I'm proud. I'm proud of these teams. I mean, these are the teams that they don't get talked about enough. So
At all.
Go to the game, get out there, support the team. Look, first 250 fans will receive a no quarter flag. That's reason enough to go. But go have some fun, It's a Wednesday night. What else are you doing on a Wednesday night? What else are you doing? By the time you get home, Hurricanes game's going to be in the third period. You can finish watching that at home. No, I don't care if you watch it, have it up on your phone while you're at the game. Get loud, watch the Hurricanes game on your phone, and get crazy for those ladies because they win this. That's pretty much a lock to get them into the conference championship.
Yeah.
So that's all I got on that. Josh, you want to take over for basketball?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you guys heard, but ECU women's basketball won the American Conference last year and went to Texas and played a really hard-fought game at Texas in the NCAA tournament. So if you've been under a rock and you just don't realize it, ECU women's basketball is here, and they're here to stay because they're returning so much production. The freshman of the year for the conference, and she won defensive player of the year in the conference as a freshman. Like ridiculous. She's staying home in Pitt County at ECU, and that's the best we can ask for. That's the best we can ask for. We got two of the we are second preseason ranked in the conference, and we even got 4 first place votes. So there's enough people. Some people think that we are the best in this conference still. You got preseason player of the year, and we've got 2 first team all conference. That's just, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. It's really crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, ECU basketball back during like the Heather Macy days had some decent runs, but never like a run like what we're seeing today, right? We haven't seen this much momentum behind this program. And last year they picked them last in the conference. Now they're picking them second. Look, Coach McNeil said this, like, it doesn't matter where they pick us. We got to go out and we got to execute because it only matters where we finish. So it's a lot to be excited for. Plus, I mean, the new seat backs and Minji's what are your thoughts, Josh, on the seat backs and Minji's?
I think that the crowd that ECU needs to recruit to come to basketball games need that. They need that, right? Like if I got the money, the few little padded seats that were on the second floor, I'm not trying to walk all the way up there. And the cushions weren't even really all that good anymore. So honestly, I think this was the greatest move they could have made. They got more seats, so that way there's more opportunity for you to sell the seats. And then once we like become who we're about to become, you're gonna be selling out those seats anyways at a ridiculous rate. It'd be like having suites in Dowdy Fickler, but it's basketball, so you're basically courtside. It's gonna be an experience
for sure. That place can get loud.
Oh,
the place can get real loud. Now, Josh, the men's basketball team, they were picked 5th. Once again, I think that's the highest they've ever been picked that I've ever known. Like
I don't know. I can't think of, maybe after the CIT they would have gotten.
I don't think so.
It's probably shouldn't believe it. It's like because it's just the CIT. I mean, we probably had 2 people in the conference make it to NCAA tournament. So they probably didn't believe in us then. So this might be. And these guys haven't even hit the court together. Like that's the thing. It's not like they got proof.
Yeah, I mean, this team's going to be good. Not to mention, I mean, the 2 of the transfers you got in, you're still waiting to hear back about Cam Hayes. Free Cam Hayes. Hey, Congressman, writing about Cam Hayes.
Attorney General.
And then you also got Bobby Pettiford, transfer from Kansas, on top of R.J. Felton, on top of Ezra Asor. Like all these guys. These guys, I mean, RJ Felton's brother just committed to ECU. Like Mike Schwartz and Kim McNeil are building something big here at East Carolina. So I'm excited about it. I mean, all in all, lots of good. I will say, so looking here, the American Conference, just going to kind of run through the top 5 from that was announced yesterday. It was Florida Atlantic was number 1. Then it was, who was number 2? I don't have it right in front of me. It was like FAU. I want to say maybe, here it is. Memphis, FAU, Memphis, Tulane, UAB, East Carolina for men's. And then on the women's side, it was South Florida, East Carolina, Rice, SMU, Memphis. Those are the top 5s. So lots of good. Lots of good. We're looking, go ahead.
I was just going to make 2 points about ECU basketball right now.
Go ahead.
First, the American Conference has played the game so well with basketball. You pick up FAU the year after they make that run.
Yeah.
So come on in and just like, okay, go ahead, Memphis, or go ahead, Houston, Cincinnati. Go ahead. We got the new kid on the block. And we've already done it with Wichita State. We were trying to get the new kid on the block, the guy that was on the rise. And it's like trying to balance that with a team like ECU that's coming up on the recruiting side for that men's team. People are still sleeping on Jordan Vick for whatever reason. And they need to actually, if you're a recruiter, stay asleep because we're trying to keep him in North Carolina
For
at
sure.
ECU. But dude, he's gonna go off next year. Word of God, and if they're back on that OTE circuit again, he's gonna go off. He's gonna get some play, and he's gonna bring a lot of attention to ECU as just a freshman that went to OTE. Like
lots of great. I mean, we're a basketball school now. We're just a basketball school now. That
Olympic sports.
Basketball, Olympic sports, baseball. We're pretty much in everything but football school at this point. All right. Turning to football, Josh, SMU.
Yeah.
SMU comes in this weekend, or I guess Thursday night. I mean, we're going from light to dark, fading to black. When we talk about all the great things that are going on in ECU, and then we talk about football. Plus, everybody knows blackout in the Boneyard, get blackout, whatever they're calling it, night out in the Boneyard. I don't know.
Get blacked out.
Josh, that's what this football team makes me want to do.
Drink safely, kids. We don't condone that all. We don't condone that. Drink safely, kids.
Yeah, I mean, be responsible, but do what you need to do. Yeah, I mean, ECU leads the series 5-4. SMU, I mean, they're coming in, they're hot. They've recorded at least 350 total yards of offense in every game this season. Not to mention, they're top 3 in the conference in defense. I mean, it's insane.
It's insane.
Like, I don't know. SMU, I mean, they're comparing last year to this year. I mean, they're, what is it? Allowing 15.5 fewer points per game. They did last year. Like, that's the fifth best jump in the entire country.
That's a change.
ECU has its work cut out for them on Thursday night. Make no bones about it. While you're getting drunk in the Boneyard, this is gonna be a tough one, and that's once again, that's why we need you to show out, show up, and show out. Get there. I know. Hey, I think they said classes are going to be canceled at what, 3:00?
Recommending a 3:00 cutoff.
Man, back in my day, I remember them canceling classes at like 1:00 for a Thursday night game. Yeah. ESPN, big ESPN. That's what I'm worried about. The big ESPN game. I don't know if I want this to be shown there, but yeah, I mean, SMU is a good football team. Your thoughts, Josh, before we throw it over to the interview here in a minute?
I mean, I don't know. I hope our defense is still as strong as they've been, because SMU's gonna go right at them. Like SMU wants to terminate the pirate program with this game and terminate the rest of the American Conference before they go to the ACC, to just prove that they're so much better than us. And that's what's ridiculous to me, honestly, is because who would have thought SMU would have gotten this good this quickly, right behind Tulane? And like, it's upsetting the balance of power in the conference, and it's really just crazy. It's crazy, but SMU is going to try to run through us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not to mention, Preston Stone coming in. I mean, Mordecai, felt like Mordecai was there for, I know he was only there for 2 years, but
yeah,
3 years, maybe. I don't know. It feels like he was there for a long time, because he was honestly such a good quarterback. And now you got Preston Stone, who's come in already, thrown for almost 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. They come at you on all sides of the football. And I think that, look, we haven't played SMU since the 2021 game. Back that was a fun game. That was a fun game. But I don't know if it's going to be that fun this time. We're going to have on second-time guest Billy Embody on the podcast. Josh, why don't you say we bring him in?
All righty.
Welcome to the Boneyard Podcast, Billy Embody. We got him on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Billy's the publisher of OnThePonyExpress.com, has covered SMU for over a decade, and now with the last 2 seasons, he's been with On3, with the On3 network. Billy, welcome to the Boneyard Podcast. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, guys. Ready to get to Greenville. I've never experienced game day there, but I've always heard great things.
You're in for a treat. Thursday night, we were just joking about getting what is the marketing thing that they're doing, Josh? It's like blackout in the Boneyard, or
Night of the Boneyard.
Night of the Boneyard. But all the students are going to be blacked out in the Boneyard. So, once again, drink responsibly. Do what you need to do. But Billy, first things first. This SMU team is, they're good. What makes this team so good just right off the hop?
Well, it's really weird. It's weird times at SMU right now. They're going to the ACC, which is wild, but maybe even more weird. This is a defensive football team right now. It really is. That is something that I didn't think we'd be saying this year in a way. I felt like this is a team that was going to be offensively able to do whatever they wanted to, but they haven't necessarily been able to do that so far this season. And so for SMU, their defense is what has been most improved this year. They've been able to add a bunch of transfers and really bring in some guys that can make plays, can control the line of scrimmage. In particular, the defensive line, they return Elijah Chapman, who I know Mike Houston said this week it feels like he's been there for 5 years. Same. But they also have Devere Levelston, who's back. But they went out and added 2 Miami transfers in Jordan Miller and Elijah Roberts, who's really been a massive difference maker, especially Elijah Roberts. He's a big defensive end at about probably 6'4", 275, and he moves like a pass rusher. And so that defensive line for SMU has really keyed this defensive improvement. I believe last I looked, they're top 30 in total defense right now. I know they're one of the best in the AAC. when just you stack up all the teams. And they've done it really without forcing any turnovers. Last week against Charlotte, 2 weeks ago now, against Charlotte was the first time they've gotten a takeaway in a minute. And, that's something they're hoping to build on because they've done a good job forcing teams to go the length of the field to score on them if that's been what has happened. But they've also done a really nice job just limiting what these teams that they've faced, the Oklahomas, the TCUs, they for the most part have done a really nice job limiting those teams. And in particular, when they get down in the red zone, they've been able to hold and force field goals and do those things. So it's been kind of weird covering a team that's as defensively focused and productive as SMU this year, considering all these years. It's been the Cortland Sutton show. It's been the Rashee Rice show. It's Danny Gray, Reggie Robertson, James Prochet. I mean, they've had playmakers all over the place. They've got some tools offensively. It just hasn't clicked fully like we thought it would going into this season.
For sure. And that's not something ECU fans are going to be happy to hear, though. I mean, ECU has had its struggles on offense all season, especially in the red zone. We saw it against Rice a couple weeks ago, where you get in the red zone, I believe, 5 times, and you got 1 touchdown out of that. Billy, talk to me about this offense. Like I was mentioning earlier, you lose Tanner Mordecai. Now you've got Preston Stone. What's that transition been like?
Yeah, Preston is very different than Tanner Mordecai in the sense that you look at what SMU has this year, and maybe Tanner Mordecai is able to manufacture enough points in one of those 2 power conference games that they played against OU or TCU. But at the same time, Tanner was really susceptible to game-changing turnovers, unfortunately for him, and for a multitude of reasons, whether it was a fumble against Maryland that his knee was clearly down, shout out Big Ten officiating, or whether it was an interception backed up in his own side of the field against TCU. There's just been moments throughout his career where those things happened. With Preston Stone, he, for the most part, while he's thrown some interceptions this year, they aren't of the back-breaking kind. And for Preston, one thing that I think hasn't come together is this receiver group that we thought going into the year when we were, as the media, kind of watching this team come together, we thought, Jordan Curley's got the speed. He's going to be your deep ball guy. Jake Bailey is that really productive slot guy. Can they get something out of Jordan Hudson, who's got a ton of talent? But then they have Moochie Dixon, Romello Brinson, Keyshawn Smith. They've got all these guys that have talent, but they've been rotating receivers a lot. They haven't maybe gotten the continuity and the chemistry in the passing game that they really wanted to. And so that's probably hindered Preston's overall production. This is a team that you look back at the second half of last year, they ran the ball really well. Then they went out and added 2 Power 5 transfers at running back. And this offensive line, for the most part, came back intact. And they've been able to run the ball really well. And so they've kind of leaned on that. There's been some moments here and there where maybe they should have run the ball and it was kind of clear if you're watching the game from above, and other moments where, wow, it's dictating that, you need to take a shot here. There's 8 in the box. So there's been a little bit of it just hasn't clicked fully offensively for SMU. They've had the Prairie View A&M game. That's a mismatch. They came out red hot against Louisiana Tech. They were able to control Charlotte very, very well. They were pretty efficient from a drives perspective in that game. But again, it's just so different. We're not seeing the deep shots. Teams are really honing in on stopping those from SMU. And so Preston Stone has really had to take what the defense has given him. And there's been moments where there's been drops or there's been passes that are just a tad late. And so, again, I hate to be a broken record here, but it just hasn't clicked fully in the passing game. But that running attack has really come alive the last couple weeks against TCU, against Charlotte. TCU, they really could have run the ball a lot more. They obviously got down and they had to pass a little bit more, but they could run the ball on TCU pretty much whenever they wanted. So this is a team that I think as they get into conference play deeper into it, especially against, even though East Carolina, I think their defense is playing pretty well. You guys would know a little bit more on that, but I think they've got to really continue to run the football. They just haven't been able to do it in the passing game. So you need to lean on what's been productive. It's been that run game.
Josh, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that you say that because I feel like ECU's offense is so bad that SMU's offensive numbers look just amazing. But it's I mean, what has been that difference with SMU compared to the Oklahoma and the TCU? I mean, those losses look like they were reasonable losses against those teams, but I feel like SMU kind of has a little bit more to them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's where it's frustrating for a lot of SMU fans and even just kind of watching this team come together this year. I thought going into the year, they'd be able to steal one of two. And for whatever reason, they haven't obviously done that. But you look at the Oklahoma game, and that's one they've got to be. I mean, hopefully they're not looking in the past if you're on that team, but that is one that really got away from them. They were able to move the ball pretty much at will. They had a block punt on their opening drive that allowed OU to score. And 2 plays before that, they missed a wide open, what would have been 70-plus yard touchdown pass. Roger Daniels had a couple steps, and it just was a little bit too far for him. And the game changes like that. Jalen Knighton, they're running the ball. He's got it deep inside OU territory. I think it's either tied or maybe SMU's down 3. Boom, fumble. And that just takes away your momentum that you're moving the ball down the field. So that one got away from him. That was a game where I realized that this team, when it's playing well, can play and beat anyone on their schedule. And SMU just didn't bring their best game. And they didn't capitalize on a couple red zone opportunities in that one. They came away with a field goal on one, which we talked about kind of they should have handed the ball off against a good look versus, pulling it or doing something different. And then kind of the same thing on the other side. They go for it on 4th down and they, run into a loaded box. So they come away with 3 points on 2 critical drives where they move the ball pretty much at will. And again, against TCU, they didn't bring their best stuff. And that one probably hurts a little bit more too, because it's a rivalry game. You see what TCU truly is. And I said it going into that one. I said, this TCU team is not as good as last year's team. Obviously, they've got a bunch of holes. You talk to TCU people going into that one, and they're like, well, there's no defensive line depth. Secondary's got question marks. No receivers have stepped up. It's kind of like all they had was Amani Bailey and Jared Wiley, their tight end. And SMU just got beat in some critical situations. And maybe it's a growing process with a new quarterback. They're trying to find their rhythm offensively, but those are two that they didn't look out of place. And even the TCU score, they got a touchdown late when SMU was kind of selling out to stop it on 4th down. I think the score was, 27-17 at that point. So you're thinking they're going to run it. They've been able to run it on them in the second half, and they pop one over the top to the tight end to make it 34-17. So those are 2 games where they looked like they belonged. They just didn't make the plays when they were in front of them. And as you look ahead to this conference schedule, that's probably one of the most concerning things when you look at this team is, okay, they have all this talent. They have all these pieces. Will they execute like they need to week in, week out to now go on what would be a 7-game run to potentially play for an AAC championship? That's why it's so important they go to East Carolina and get a win. It's a tough place to play. ECU's been able to play some teams tough. There's a lot of respect from SMU when it comes to ECU. I remember the 2019 game, or no, 2021. You guys were talking about it when SMU just got whipped in that one, or maybe that was 2020. But whatever one that was on the road at East Carolina, SMU just completely fell apart. And there are guys on that team that remember that game. And then you look back last year, UCF got beat in the same atmosphere. So there's a lot of respect from SMU when it comes to East Carolina, despite a 1-4 record, and rightfully so. So they've got to come out. They've got to finish drives. They got to try to take the crowd out of the game. For
sure. And Rhett Lashley, I mean, he's in his 3rd season this year.
Second.
Is it second?
Yeah, he was offense coordinator. He
was hired in 2021. That I was thinking he was hired earlier that season before the season started, but hired in 2021. Talk to us a little bit about him, his coaching style, his philosophy. Talk to us a little bit about him.
Yeah, I think he's continuing to grow as a head coach, and there are many ways that we can kind of look at this. Is one, they came in, Sonny Dykes left. They had to basically keep the whole roster. They couldn't spend a lot of time going out and getting maybe the guys that they needed to really turn the roster at different positions to maybe go from what was, I think they finished 7-6 in year one, to being a team that could have been a 10-win type of team. And they had one of the toughest schedules in the AAC. They played Cincinnati, they played UCF, they played Houston, and went 2-1 in those games against the preseason top three of the league. And then, of course, they end up playing Tulane as well. So they had a tough schedule. They finished really well last year, and I think they made some changes throughout the year that give a lot of people that kind of confidence that, all right, they'll recognize what's going on and they'll make some changes and tweaks to probably fix those things. I think Rhett's done a really nice job, especially from a recruiting perspective. He is a recruiter kind of at heart. I know he gets a ton of buzz around, his offenses throughout his career, and they've always been good. He's always been able to generate turnarounds. Even went to UConn and drastically improved them in his one season there before he got to SMU. And he's been able to go out with his staff and get a ton of transfers that, yes, on the offensive skill side with the wide receivers, probably haven't been as good as they thought, but at running back, they've been successful at hitting on those guys. Offensive line, they've added some key guys. You look at the defensive side, that's littered with transfers that are making differences for that unit. So he's addressed the roster really well. I think he's growing into being a head coach even more. There are some certain situations that I think he probably wants back throughout this season, notably against Oklahoma and TCU, but they've kind of cut out, as of late, some of their window dressing, jet sweeps, reverses. They ran a flea flicker against Oklahoma. This team is too talented to try those things against defenses that are good at staying home, that are good at disrupting those type of plays, because then it just sets your offense back. I mean, this is a team that I've kind of said throughout the year, they just need to keep it simple, and not because it's too much for them, just because keeping it simple has worked for them when they've been able to go with tempo. They've been able to run the football. They've found some intermediate routes that work for them in the passing game, and they have all these weapons. So I think he's continuing to develop as a head coach. And this year, it hasn't hit like people have wanted it to, dropping, both games to Oklahoma and TCU. But that's where the expectations went going into this year. This is a team that had added so much talent, a top 10 transfer class, I think top 5 even by some spots. But they brought in all this talent, and there was kind of a little bit of an expectation for SMU to make a statement when it came to that OU or TCU game. And I think they did against OU, despite coming out, on the losing side. But I think he's continuing to grow. I think this team plays really hard for this entire staff, which is noticeable, and mainly because of last year's finish. Granted, they played some really good teams early in the season. They were able to get a little bit of a lighter load in the second half, but this is an SMU team that hadn't finished above 500 in November. I think Chad Morris days. So it's been a minute, and they were able to generate that strong finish to the regular season, and those are things that haven't happened. So he's kind of been checking some things off the box. They went last year and beat Tulsa at Tulsa, and they hadn't won there in well over a decade. They sent Houston on their way to the Big 12 with a loss. They've done certain things where, okay, those are big games, big moments. They also have to play really well as a team to accomplish their goals. Like they have the pieces, but they aren't a good enough top to bottom team right now to just kind of throw the jersey out there and be able to be successful. Things have to, be executed. And I know that's a lot of teams, but it's the reality with this one, especially kind of with where the offense is at, just not necessarily clicking at full tilt.
For sure. Josh, any other questions from you?
Yeah, I just got one because I thought about asking, thought maybe no, but I think this is probably a perfect question for you because you got 2 jerseys right there behind you. Who has the best and worst outfit combinations and colors. But here's the thing, because this probably gonna be the last time we get to talk to you with SMU leaving, I want ACC and AAC. I want both of them.
The best and the worst.
The best and the worst.
The AAC, I would say the current group of schools. I would say you look at I feel like Charlotte's not that great. That's just very bland. And then the best, I mean, honestly, I think when SMU shows up with the Dallas uniforms, it's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong look. I'm glad that SMU doesn't really do the black jerseys too much. There's been some historically bad performances when they've done those. One being my jersey there on my right or left in the Armed Forces Bowl about a decade ago. But and then the ACC. I grew up in Florida. I like the really classic Florida State uniforms. I'm kind of partial to those. Those are pretty good. And then the worst, I would probably say like Syracuse, just kind of bland, just kind of average.
I would say them or somebody like I think Boston College or a UVA.
Yeah. UVA doesn't do it for me either. Boston College, all I think of is Flutie. I mean, maybe that was their last good moment outside of Matt Ryan.
We have had a ton of beef with Boston College on this podcast, so got to throw some shade there. But
here you go.
Josh, you asked the question. Now you got to give your answer.
Yeah, that's only fair.
So in the American Conference, for me personally, I love a good purple helmet, purple jersey, gold pants, because that gold face mask that they do with the gold pants, I'm telling you, it's the cleanest look on the sideline. It's the cleanest. That's the one helmet that I always want to take an extra picture of, just to have it on file.
Well, an SMU podcast and reporter can't give purple any love. The TCU fans will come out of the woodwork saying I'm a homer for them. So
fair enough. Yeah. I gotta say, I've always wanted us to do the West Virginia's done it, and I believe Arizona State, kind of like that all gold.
Oh yeah.
I would love for us to rock an all gold, and there's rumors about a gold helmet this year. I would love to see it, but I don't think it's going to be in the cards for the
SMU's tweaked some of their helmets this year a little bit. They've done some different things with face masks. I think Rhett Lashley is kind of Sonny Dykes was very like classic SMU outside of the Dallas jerseys. Even the Dallas jerseys kind of look like SMU. Rhett Lashley is from that kind of. Even though Gus was at Auburn for a while, they didn't mess too much with their stuff, but just kind of that, it wouldn't shock me if SMU brings out the black jerseys at some point. I just got to see them do something in them to believe that they can do it. The last time I can recall SMU doing something well in the black jerseys was actually when they did. It's called the anthracite look when they beat Houston back when Chad Morris was the head coach. I think they had a purple or a pink Mustang. I think it was an October game, and so it was for breast cancer awareness too. So it was quite the look.
For sure, yeah. And not every team needs to do a black. There's some teams out there like, why are you doing black? Black's not at all in your normal color scheme. Like, SMU, it's red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
classic. Stick with it.
Yep.
Alabama,
LSU. Plenty of schools that shouldn't be doing. Oklahoma, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, it's cool every once in a while, but like ECU, it's become okay. Let's do it once a year, right? Like
Yeah.
we'll do it.
I love it. I mean, Pirates, like that just makes a ton of sense to me.
I can't wait till they blow everybody's minds and come out with a no quarter uniform one year with all red. Now you want to talk about pissing a bunch of Pirates off? Come out in a red uniform one day.
Yeah.
But Billy, real quick before we let you go, we've talked about the Pirates' offensive woes, and it sounds like you feel like SMU is going through something similar, but ECU is on a whole nother level when it comes to how bad this offense is. You talk about keeping it simple. Well, at ECU, it seems like simple is just running it on up the middle every play. And if you're not doing that, we're gonna throw a screen pass or throw like on 3rd and 8, we're gonna throw it 5 yards and get hit right in the middle. Like, what is it gonna take for ECU to pull? I mean, ECU's a 12-point dog. What's it gonna take for ECU to really kind of come out and make it a game?
I think being able to play good red zone defense, I do. I think SMU has shown all year that they can move the ball. Rhett Lashley, I think, even called them a team between the 25s or something like that recently. Familiar. And so if ECU can force some field goals, and SMU's field goal kicking hasn't been perfect either, they can force some field goals early. They can maybe pop a big play. I covered Marlon Gunn down in Louisiana, so know the type of wheels he's got. I know he's just coming back, but the run game, at least from ECU, seems to be where if that can get going, that would probably be where they could control the clock. Charlotte basically turned the game into, like, it was kind of a weird score. It was 34-16 was the final, but SMU was in complete control. Wasn't ever in doubt. It was 27-3 at one point, but Charlotte ended up just basically playing ball control. I mean, they were snapping it with under 10 seconds left. I think SMU had eight or nine possessions total that were real possessions with time, and not like an end of the game when they kneeled it out and all those things. I mean, that game was just so weird. Just overall, 95-yard touchdown run, 15-yard scoring drive for SMU is just weird. But if East Carolina can hold in the red zone and kind of keep it relatively, close for the first half, then you can kind of throw it out in the second half and just see what happens. That would be the path to probably knocking SMU off. And SMU's also gotten 2 punts blocked this year, partially blocked. So special teams will probably play a little bit of a role too.
Yeah, that sounds great and all, but ECU sucks in the second half. So that's
SMU hasn't been great either.
This might be a sickos committee night. It seems like in Dowdy if it's not a blowout.
Well, and now the line went from 9.5, I think, to 12.5, and been doing this a minute with SMU. And anytime you see, like, all right, Thursday night game, blackout jerseys, line jumps by 3 or something crazy like that, it's probably not done moving up. It's like, okay, is this actually going to be that kind of a game? We'll see. We'll see. They've got to break through and win a road game. They haven't yet this year. They haven't had any AAC opportunities or even one against a group of 5 or what have you to make it happen. But it could get weird. It also could be one of those games that SMU explodes and they kind of look like what a lot of people thought in the preseason they should. But I had over the summer this game and Memphis as the 2 conference games that I was circling as tough tasks for SMU, which maybe is a little bit about the conference too. But going to East Carolina, especially in this environment, is no joke.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, even when we're down, we're still going to have a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
But
looking forward to it.
Billy, check out Sup Dogs. Go get you a hot dog or a hamburger before the game. Let us know if you're there. Maybe we'll stop by on our way in. But yeah, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your content.
Yeah, you can follow us at ontheponyexpress.com, and we'll be there, boots on the ground in Greenville. Excited to check it out, and we'll see what type of team, which SMU team, I guess, shows up against East Carolina. I think we're in for a fun one. Maybe a weird one, but a fun one.
Hey, that's all we can ask for, some fun. Now, I just thought of it before I let you go. I know you're a Florida guy. I saw you got the Tampa Bay Lightning shirt on. What are your thoughts? I mean, you had the run. Last year was kind of a rough playoff season for y'all. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's not going to be easy. No Andre Vasilevsky for the first 2 months of the season. Best goalie in the world, had back surgery. They played a good game tonight. Just finished up watching them beat Nashville, who could kind of be not a playoff team, but kind of a thorn in people's sides this year. But they've got some growing to do. A lot of new faces on the third and fourth lines, but the Stars looked like the Stars tonight, and that's important for the Lightning if they're going to weather this storm, so to speak, without Andre Vasilevsky. Goaltending, I mean, they do not have guys that have really played much at the NHL level back there stopping the puck. So I'm intrigued to see how it goes and if they have to make a move at some point to bring in somebody that can, weather another month of this or what have you. But the run was awesome. The COVID bubble was fun. I watched it from the same bar every game and all of that. That was a lot of fun. And then when they went and won the cup in Tampa, I was there. So I grew up a Lightning fan. I was born the year they started, and that's my team. That's my team.
Yeah, I even here in North Carolina, I grew up a Canes fan. They came to North Carolina when I was 2. Grew up playing hockey. So yeah, love it, Billy.
Same here. Got a game tomorrow night. Got a beer league game tomorrow night. So ready.
Fun. What position?
Center.
Okay. Everybody wants to play center.
Yeah.
I was more of a stay-at-home D man. So
yeah. I tried that. It didn't go my way. Wanted to jump up too much.
I feel it. But Billy, I'll see you Thursday night. Sound good?
Yep. See you guys then. It'll be fun.
Thanks, Billy.
All right. See you Thursday.
Once again, that was Billy Embody from On3 Sports. Awesome guy to have on. I think that's the second time we've had him on, maybe the third, but we've had him on a couple times now. Josh, any thoughts on that?
I mean, he has a different outlook on the numbers than what I had, right? It's kind of like it's just the dichotomy of college football. Like either you're having the best of times or you're having the worst of times, and there really is no in between when you're looking at it. I think it's gonna still be a tough task for ECU, but if the offensive players decide that they're gonna take up Rajay's energy pregame and come out really wanting to get after it, I don't see why ECU can't be in the game from the perspective we just heard.
Yeah, Billy was giving me a little bit of hope. I didn't think I was going to have any, but Billy gave me more than I thought I was going to have.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be too negative, guys. Not trying to be too negative. Yeah, I mean it's going to be a tall task, but once again, we've seen it in these Thursday night blackout games. I mean, anything can happen, but don't hold your breath. So, anything else? I mean, we can keep talking about SMU. We'll talk about them a little bit more in Gambling Corner. But any thoughts? Any more comments on SMU before we start wrapping up?
I just hope that this isn't like the Thursday night game in, I think, 2018, might have been 2019, when the lights went out and Pat McAfee was in the booth. It was a great day to be in Greenville. But that kind of game is what I'm not looking forward to, because the team wasn't really doing well. There was almost no one there. And then when the lights cut out, people just started leaving. It was I felt like it was super competitive, if I'm remembering right, but I hope that the fans that come stay and really support, at least until there's no hope.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see anybody leaving at halftime. I get it if we're down 40 at half. Hell, I might be hitting the road because I got a 3-hour drive. But I mean, come on, get out there. So what else are you going to do? Yeah, I get Thirsty Thursday, but guess what? The bars stay open until 2. So
Pre-game at the game. That way, when the game wraps up and you get back at about 11, take you a quick shower. I mean,
I understood leaving the game. I would understand people leaving the game back when you couldn't drink in the game. But now if you're of age and you can drink at the game, I get it's expensive, but that's life. Like anytime you go to any sporting event, it's expensive. So go to the game, enjoy yourself. Yeah. We do have some Twitter questions, Josh. We got 2 Twitter questions. Chance, former intern Chance, asked, how confident are you that ECU covers the 12-point spread? Chance, I'll answer that question here in about 10 minutes. Okay? Stay tuned. Josh, do you want to take a stab at it, or are you going to wait till
I'll wait. I'll wait.
All right, Chance, you're just going to have to wait. Sorry about it.
They got to stick around.
All right. And then Brandon asks, and this, Brandon, you made it tough on us for a audio podcast. Yeah, we do have a visual component, but for the people listening, Brandon asks, give us a quick 1 through 4 ranking of the recent black ECU jerseys in honor of the new ones. So we have the new ones. We have the OG Nike ones back during the Shane Carden days with like the purple stripes on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Zay Jones era ones that were the black with the gold and the gold trim on the collar and under the arms. And then you have the ECU black ones that had ECU on the chest that they've worn most recently that look like prison uniforms since they had the stripes. Okay, so now that we've set the stage for those listening at home, listening in their car on the way to the game, let's rank them. I'm gonna say number 1. To be honest, at first I wasn't feeling it with the new black, but now I am. Like these are clean. Plus they match our other kind of new throwback jerseys, right? Like, and when we talk to Will Treadaway, the guy that designed the original throwback, he said like they wanted something that could be interchanged, and these can be. So I'm gonna go the new black, especially with the matte helmet. Love that. Love the purple face mask with them. Love the purple outline on the numbers. That's gonna be my number 1 right now. Josh,
all right. Number 1. So my number 1. You want my number 1 first? See, I was gonna hold it. I was gonna hold my 1, but my 1. Looking at it right now, I feel a little different actually right now than I did earlier. My number 1 is actually going to be the new ones. I think the new ones lean into that, like low key. They look like the pictures look like it's AI. Like it's so soft. It's not like it's intense, but it's soft. So
I like
the more I look at it,
the contrast and the crispness of the white on the black is where it's at.
Right. Because I mean everything's been gold or gold trimmed, not just a straight switch.
Exactly. It's clean. It looks clean.
And they're using a better font for numbers this year. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
This new font for numbers they've been using, it is such a crisp font for numbers. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
It's not that curved font that they were using on the last ones.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the Shane Carden era Nike jerseys with the purple on the shoulders. That's my number 2.
Okay.
Yours?
I've got some words for the one that you put at your number 2 that I'm gonna save till I get to it. It's not my number 2. My number 2 is actually going to be the Zay Jones photo because I believe that black jersey. I don't know if it's the fact that I have 2 of them or what, but that black jersey will always just sit in a special place for me as being my undergrad years. Like
See, that's how I feel about the Shane Carden era. Like, I remember when those things first came out.
right.
But I get it. Those are my number 3. And those are my number 3 only because they just look faded. Honestly, and to be quite honest, like looking at them, and I mean, when you look at them on pictures and from far away, they look cheaply made. Now, I know, like, we've been up close to them. When you're next to them, they're not. They don't look that way on the field. But looking at like this picture, it looks cheaply made. It looks like a beanie you would wear in elementary school gym class. That's my take.
Okay, so that's your number 3. My number 3 has to be the ones that we were B's, but the gold wasn't placed where the gold was supposed to be. It was a black and white B look. It's just that striping. I don't know what they were going after with that. I really don't. That is horrific. Like nothing will ever be worse than that. But even though I'm gonna put something worse than that. Nothing in a black concept can be worse than that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. Like those are honestly the ugliest uniforms or ugliest jerseys that I think I've seen ECU ever wear. I hated those black ones. I absolutely hated the black that we had the last couple of years. I just did. I'm pretty sure I've been on record saying it before. I hated those black jerseys, and I mean that's why they're my number 4. The stripe looks weird. The stripe just looks weird.
And the numbers, they were in that font with the numbers. I don't like that.
I'm not crazy about just the ECU. I like the East Carolina. I'm old school like that. I like the East Carolina, not just the ECU.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or just put the pirate logo.
Yeah, honestly. All right, so that leaves one for your number 4. I've already kind of talked about my number 4 with you talking about your number 3. Your number 4 is the Nike ones?
My number 4 is the Nike ones.
Why?
Who told ECU to put that purple on the shoulder pads? A, right? So that's like my A. B, why is the uniform? Why does it look like it was stitched together by thrown away pieces of black cotton t-shirts? Like it just it looks so dated. Even though all the other ones were bad in their own ways, it looks so dated. Like this is like
that was also a decade ago.
Right. It was a decade ago, but even then, I thought to myself, they can do better than that, right? Like it's just the Nike material at the time was not a good material. I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest issues is that the Nike material was not a good material then, and so I mean, they were doing well for Oregon, but they could dye the threads. I mean, it just wasn't good.
Yeah. I'm not. The only thing, my biggest critique is the color of the number. I mean, I get what you're saying about the fabric. I think that's just how pretty much all football jerseys were made at that point. But the fabric or the color on the number, I wish you had more of a poppy purple, right? Like popped on the black, or even just a gold at that point. But yeah, that's still my number 2. I think back to Justin Hardy and Shane Carden and Zeke Bigger, like those guys wearing these jerseys, like coming out. Ruffin McNeil leading the team out. Wore them on that game against Carolina back in 2014 on the road. Carolina I was at that game, wore their white America uniforms. Justin Hardy laid an absolutely insane block on a guy. I can't remember. He damn near killed a guy blocking in that game at Chapel Hill. I think back to the Justin Hardy catch that was not a catch, but it really was a catch. That was Odell Beckham Jr. style before Odell Beckham Jr. did the catch. Right there, like right in front of me in the end zone, right in front of the Boneyard. Like those just hold a special place in my heart. Those old black jerseys just hold a special place in my heart. So, all right. Any other you want to talk? We can talk jerseys all night long, but
You really could.
I mean,
You really could.
we've devoted a whole podcast before to talking jerseys, but walk the plank. I'm trying to think if I have a walk the plank. I do, but I'm all right. I'll go ahead and do mine because yours is better than mine. I guarantee it. Look, MLB has to figure something out with the postseason schedule. I mean, the fact. Look, I was griping about it several years ago. I mean, when the Braves were that wild card team, hey, you play a 3-game series all year long. Why don't you just play a 1-game series or 1-game, like winner moves on between the wild card teams? Now I really don't like this. The number 1 team in all of baseball has to sit for 5 or 6 days from their last game of the regular season to the first game of their playoffs or their first game of the postseason. You don't just like you play 3-game series all year long in baseball. Baseball is the one sport where you don't have 2 or 3 days off in between games. You just don't. So to go from having a game every single day, every other day, all for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you go and you have a 6-day off period, you lose a bunch of momentum. And baseball is probably the one sport out of all of them where if you get on a hot streak, I mean, we've seen it with ECU baseball before. You get on a hot streak, you want to play every single day. You want to keep that ride going, right? Once you stop, you get rust. You're not taking in-game reps, not taking real-time reps. It's not like football where you know what you're doing. You have a game plan. You go out there. Yes, you have a game plan in baseball, but when you're trying to hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball, if you haven't seen a 100-mile-per-hour fastball in a week, it's going to be hard to catch up to it. And we've seen it. I mean, we saw it last year with the Braves and Dodgers both losing in the NLDS. Dodgers look absolutely terrible right now. I think they got to combine 6 outs from their starters in the first 2 games of the series. I mean, Braves luckily came back and had a miraculous ending last night, but something's like, I get you can't do the 1-game series or the 1-game matchup, but this 3-game matchup isn't what it needs to be. What they need to figure out, I don't care. Make the 3-game series, make one of those days you have to play a doubleheader. I don't care. Like that's baseball. A doubleheader is baseball. But making a team sit for 5-6 days is not baseball. That would be how I would fix it. Or you just rank the teams 1 through 8 and everybody plays. Also add 2 more games to the division series round. I mean, there's no reason why do you have a 5-game series in the NLDS, ALDS, but then everything else is 7 games. Go. Everything needs to be 7 games. Take the NBA, take the NHL model, 1 through 8. Heck, even if you have to trim a little bit off the season, everybody talks about 162 games is too long. Trim some games off that schedule. Take it down to 152, right? Do that, and then you're not having to deal with what we're dealing with now and play those 7-game series. That's what I would say. That's my walk to plank. MLB, Rob Manfred has screwed up baseball. Rob Manfred, I've told you countless times on this podcast, walk the damn plank. Worst commissioner in all of sports. Rob Manfred. He's broken baseball. He's tried to fix it, but he's broken it. He's made it even worse. That's my walk the plank. Josh.
When you said 152 on the regular season for MLB, I'm more of a play. Let's play 100 games. Let's make it a real. I
get it. Like the only thing with 100 games is I do like the fact that the one change that I do like that they've made is the fact that they've changed it to where you play every single team every season. I really like that. And if you go to 100 games, you're just not going to be able to do that and have enough divisional games to play. So I would like to see it go back to or go to 150 games, maybe even 145. I don't know how that shakes out. But you still need to have the same amount of games in your division. And I believe that number went down. It used to be, I believe, 19 games in division. So right there, you're looking at 5 teams in the division. You play 4 of them. That's 40. 9 times 4 is 36. That's 76 games of your 162 game season that you play in the division, right? So to me, you got to figure that out. Like, okay, we're still going to have 18 games or whatever against each team in our division, but now you're going to play every team around the league, but maybe you have more 2-game series. I don't know, but something needs to be done because either way, somebody's getting screwed. But the fact that the number 1 team, quite frankly, arguably the best offense in all of baseball ever in the Atlanta Braves. I mean, second only in WRC plus to the 1927 New York Yankees, who, I mean, that's considered the best team ever. The Braves are second to that this year. Tied for the most home runs hit in a season. To me, the fact that 1, they had to sit out for a week, and 2, they play the 4th ranked team instead of it being reseeded. That's bullshit. Josh, your turn.
My walk the plank is the biggest walk the plank I have ever thought could ever happen. Mario Cristobal, sir. It's not even bad enough that you did this ranked number 17 against a 2-3 Georgia Tech, right? Like, it wasn't bad enough that that's what it was. Like, that's what happened. Mario Cristobal, this isn't his first time doing this to lose a game. Look, man, the analytics will never tell you to run the ball when there's an 85% chance that if you take the knee now, with how many timeouts the other team has, you're going to be fine, right? Like, I don't know what to say, because if anything, if I'm going to run the ball, I'm not running it forward. Staying behind my line of scrimmage, just a little duck and dive and run the clock down a little bit before I go down as a run. Like, I'm not even going into the traffic if you're gonna play it like that. Like, second time he's done it. Not even the first time he's done it. Like that's like it's.
Yeah, that's rough. Reminded me a lot of the Lincoln Riley, Ruffin McNeil debacle, where they got into victory formation, need it three times, and then gave the ball back to UCF with too much time left on the clock. And then we all know what happens. I've been on the record before, that play broke ECU. That's the play that broke ECU. Sorry about it. All right, that's enough for Walk the Plank. Let's do some gambling corner and then let's get the hell out of here.
All right.
Cool. First up, we got West Virginia at Houston. Houston's a 2.5-point favorite. Over-under is 51.5. This is a big game for both programs. West Virginia is having a magical 4-1 season, while Houston's looking for its first Big 12 win. West Virginia has beaten both Big 12 opponents that Houston has lost to, which is TCU and Texas Tech. I don't understand how Houston's a 2.5-point favorite, other than the pure fact that it's at home. But playing at Houston really isn't that much of a home field advantage. So, Josh, I'll take this one first. I'm taking West Virginia here.
And honestly, I'm taking West Virginia by so much that I would be breaking Vegas right now, because I'm probably taking them by like 8. Honestly, like I don't. There's nothing about Houston scares me if I'm West Virginia. I mean, coming into the season, West Virginia never thought they'd be right here, but at the same time,
this is my lock of the week. Like this game right here is my lock of the week. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm a terrible gambler, but nothing here makes sense. The math does not add up. West Virginia plus 2.5. Take the money, run straight to the bank.
Josh Pate has his ramen noodle express. You know, ramen's like $1, right? It's not that much. This is my hamburger helper express. Okay, I'm talking. You're not only gonna get the mix, which has gone up astronomically. I looked at that at the store the other day, and that's crazy. But you're also gonna be able to buy a whole pound of beef. Okay, I'm telling you, this is my lock. Like there's no question.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like the lock of the week. Like this has to be the lock of the week. West Virginia plus 2.5, and honestly, take the over also. All right, what do we got next? Tulane plus 3.5 at Memphis. Memphis is good, man. This is probably the biggest game of for the American this week. Both teams 4-1. Tulane lost to Ole Miss by 17. That Ole Miss game though was a lot closer than the loss by 17. They were in that game for a long time. It got really bad late, but like that game should have only been by a touchdown. Maybe they start selling out in garbage time trying to make a play and I believe had a bad interception late in the game, and Ole Miss maybe returned it or something like that. But they didn't lose by 17 points. That score looked worse than what it actually was. Memphis lost. I mean, Missouri's good. Memphis lost to Missouri by 7. Is Memphis really the team to beat in the American, or does Tulane keep their crown? This is at Memphis. I'm gonna go. What time is this game? Do you know?
Dude, I think it's a later game.
Let's see. ESPN. I think that game's like one of the like.
It's a 7:30. 7:30 on Friday. It's on Friday.
On Friday? Ooh.
7:30 on Friday. That's a Friday. Yeah. That changes it. Now I gotta see something.
All right. In that case, Michael Pratt's back too, right?
Yeah, he's been back.
All right. Yeah, give me Tulane.
And Tulane's coming off of a bye. Tulane is coming off of a bye.
Tulane. Give me Tulane. I mean,
but so is Memphis.
Maybe they lose by a field goal, but if we're taking to cover, I'm taking Tulane to cover. I think that they could very well win this game outright, but Tulane's gonna cover. So if Memphis wins, they're gonna win by a field goal.
Okay.
Over under 56.5. I'm also taking the over in this game. Friday night games get weird, and I don't know. Memphis, their fan base still doesn't show out. Even when they're good, they don't show out. Sorry about it. Your take?
You're taking Tulane. I'm taking Memphis, honestly, because I want Memphis to make this the year. I want them to make this the year that they get over that hump and get back to the top. Like UTSA came in here thinking, I mean, I don't even know what they actually probably thought. I mean, they had all the pieces to run it back in a brand new conference, but they just haven't been as strong. Tulane has looked pretty strong so far, but honestly, I think Memphis, if they can put it all together, because all their games have been close versus competition that's not the same. So I think if they can put it all together, as close as they were against Missouri was as close as they were against Navy. So they're obviously getting better. And I think if they could just pop it over the top for this game and open it up, I think it'll be a pretty easy game for them. I think it'll be a pretty easy game for them. So I'm taking Memphis, and I'm taking them to cover. I'm taking them to cover. I'm taking like maybe win by a touchdown.
Okay. I respect it. I just feel like if it was on a Saturday, I could see it. But the Friday night thing just makes me feel like it's a Tulane game.
They're both coming off buys. And the last time out was Memphis' first loss against Missouri. So that, I mean, they're probably looking to come back and show who they are.
I still just think Tulane's the best Group of 5 team in the country. Tulane should still be ranked, if you ask me. Tulane's the top 20 team in the country. Sorry about it. They lost to Ole Miss. And yeah, the score was 34-17 or something like that, but that game was a lot closer than the score said it was. All right. Moving on, Georgia Southern at JMU -3.5. Over unders 58.5. Major game for the Sun Belt. James Madison can solidify themselves as the new king without a crown of the Sun Belt with a statement win against Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's 4-1 while JMU's 5-0. JMU, I mean, you say they could beat half of the bowl contenders in the G5, but I think they could beat damn near anyone in the Group of 5 right now. Probably a lot of teams in the Power 5. This is at JMU. Crazy. That's a crazy place. Yeah. Give me JMU by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple to say. Like, I'm riding the train with JMU at this point. Like there's no need to get off. I mean, Coastal Carolina had a run, got off that train. Liberty had a little run, got off that train. This JMU train I don't think it's stopping. I think they could be like how App State came into the FBS and just went 6 straight ball games. I think it was that they went 2-1. Like I think that's the JMU story right now. I think that's the JMU story.
For sure. Over under is 58.5. Honestly, don't know enough about these offenses. I do know. Under. Yeah. I'm gonna take the under here. Just because I don't know enough about the offenses. I probably wouldn't bet over under. That's a bet I typically don't like to make. I typically like money line or bet the spread. But all right. Florida at South Carolina. Not as big of a game for the SEC East as the teams thought it would be, but will be very competitive. Florida's 4-2 with a quality win over Tennessee, but a pretty bad loss to Kentucky, and South Carolina's 2-3, but can't get out of their own way, right? So South Carolina lost 41-20 last week, looking to bounce back against this quality Florida team. the Gamecocks are a 2-point favorite here. And I think Florida wins this game. I'm not sold on South Carolina. Maybe Shane Beamer would be a good replacement for Mike Houston in a year, but I don't know. After they both get canned. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I think Billy Napier is about to start putting the pieces together a little bit better, and as a head coach at this level, and I think Shane Beamer, his personality is his football team. It's just so inconsistent, but it's so just jittery. It's everywhere. I don't know. I mean, I don't think South Carolina's going to put it together. I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 3:30 kickoff. It's a 3:30 kickoff. Florida, South Carolina. This game needs to be a 7:00 game. Like this is a primetime game, but it's not.
Yeah. Go Gators. I think Florida wins this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game by 10, if not more. So, all right.
And even though I agree with that, I'm still taking the under on the 51.5. Even if Florida wins by 10, I mean it's still.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, SMU at East Carolina, over unders 51. ECU plus 12-point dog. SMU's looking to make November 18 the de facto American Championship game against Memphis by rolling through the rest of the American. Both teams are coming off bye weeks and will be well rested for this game. ECU looks to send SMU to the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, with a loss. Oh. I don't think I've ever. I can't remember the last time I picked ECU not to cover the spread, but I'm gonna do it right here because I don't see, and maybe I am wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see how this team can score enough points to cover the spread. I'm not worried about the defense, but I don't see how this team can score enough. Knowing what we know about this red zone offense, knowing what we know about this offense, to really keep it close. Now, they may keep it close through the first half, like half a quarter, right? But I think by 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, SMU starts to pull away. I mean, I've seen it enough with this ECU team. I think ECU loses by 3 touchdowns.
I feel like I'm maybe I'm just a hopeless romantic when it comes to ECU football because I'm taking ECU to cover, not to win.
That's not what you told me before we recorded.
Right, it's not. But I thought about it because I heard Billy. Heard Billy Embody. Okay, I heard that man talk about that offense just not hitting on all cylinders. And the way one thing that stood out to me with the interview is he talked about them. He said they have to run the ball this game. You're not running the ball against ECU's defense. If you feel like you have to run the ball this game because your offensive pass game is not clicking, okay, you're not. You're going to be slowed down by the ECU run defense. And yeah, you're probably going to pop 1 or 2 over the top on us. Because we're going to be aggressive against the run, but I think ECU is going to also. I think over this bye week, this may be just a prayer that's burning up, just burning up. Maybe over the bye week, one of the quarterbacks just went crazy. Got underneath his feet. Some Austin Hour, right? Tight ends coach is now might be calling some plays at practice. I don't know. I don't have any intel. I'm just saying, think about like if they just went somebody new, give it a couple of play calls, just to see how it felt over the bye week. this could be a totally different team because I don't think that the playbook. I don't think the playbook is limited enough. I think the play calls were limited enough that it was
Yeah,
stopping us from being great.
I would agree with that. But knowing what I know about the relationship between Donnie Kirkpatrick and Mike Houston, I just don't know if I believe that it'll happen. Look, I really hope that I'm wrong. But I've seen enough from ECU football this year to say, like, this is honestly probably, I feel like this is some of the worst football that we've had. This is probably the worst football we've played in a decade. Like, no, this team this offense just looks terrible. And I don't know, from the play calling to the drop passes to the offensive line to quarterback ineptitude at times. I don't know. Someone's got to change. To me, someone's got to change, and I don't know. I really hope, like Josh, maybe it's just I'm pessimistic about what I've seen so far. I'm really hoping that you're right. I am praying that you are right on this, because I don't know if I can sit through another game where it's the same play calling and the same poor decision making for ECU on offense. So I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. But I got to see it to believe it. If ECU goes out and proves me wrong, great. And if they do that, I'll be singing a different tune next week, I'm sure. But right now, I'm going off of what I've seen, and what I've seen is this offense doesn't make adjustments. They don't make adjustments at halftime. They don't make adjustments mid-game. They don't make adjustments after a bye week. They just do what they do. That's maybe that, like I said, maybe that's just the pessimist in me. And I've been very optimistic about this team. I said that this team earlier in the year, I said this team could go 8-4. And look, you were in 2 games against Marshall and against App State and against Rice, 3 games, really. You could have won all of those games at times. But they fell apart. The offense couldn't get it done. And I don't care how good your defense is, you can't win games if you can't score. You just can't. And if you get in the red zone, you have to get the ball in the end zone. You find a way. I don't care if you get in the red zone and immediately put Mason Garcia in and just run it down their throat. I don't care if that's what you have to do. Maybe that's the game plan. But there's got to be a different game plan than what we've had the first 5 weeks of the season outside of the Gardner-Webb game. But that game's a wash because that game doesn't matter. So, Donnie K, prove me wrong. Mike Houston, prove me wrong. But if not, I'm not going to be surprised if you don't. But I really hope that you prove me wrong. Look, I love this team. I love a lot of the guys on this team. Know them personally. I really hope this team figures it out. And if it's not for this year, I hope they figure it out going into next year. But if they don't figure it out this year, you got to go into next year with some changes in staff personnel. Go ahead.
I was just, the only thing I had to say was that this is the worst offense since 2018. I'm not going to put them behind that 2018 offense. I mean, I was at that NC State makeup game because Virginia Tech canceled because we had to go to South Florida because Virginia Tech wouldn't let us know if they, the whole debacle. But I think that offense, I mean, Temple held you to 6 points. South Florida that year held you to 13 and you lost. Like, North Carolina A&T beat you. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
The defense is bad too, but the offense didn't help.
But somehow you still found a way to win 3 games. I don't. If ECU loses this game, I don't know if I see three wins on the schedule. Charlotte, Navy, but we all know how Navy goes.
Yeah, and it's at Navy.
Luckily, you're not getting them on a bye week, and they got a first-year head coach. Maybe you win that game, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Josh, I don't know. I really hope they prove me wrong. And like I said, I can't remember the last time I picked ECU not to cover the spread. We've been doing this 4 years now, and I can't remember the last time I picked them to not cover. I'm sure somebody can tell me, but I can't remember. I don't know when that was. So that's all I gotta say. Prove me wrong. I'll be there. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to get back to Dowdy and get in there, and I'm excited for the game. But I'm not so positive that ECU is gonna cover. Chance. I'm not so positive. So
Yeah.
maybe I don't know.
Look, here's the thing. The one thing that I know is that I'm bringing in two of the greatest football videographers there are in the Raleigh area to come film this game with me. I don't know, man. I just it's gonna be worse than when they were at Marshall and I guess Gardner Webb was too bad, but the Marshall game, I mean, I had one of them there, and it's just disgusting. So
at least it's not going to be like 2 years ago when we had the South Florida game and it was piss and rain all night.
Yeah,
that was rough. But Josh, let's get out of here. Reminder: make sure to check out Variety Sports Podcast Network. Check me out, the 5-Hole Podcast. Going to be coming to you all season long with hockey content. Really excited about that. Follow us on all of our socials at Boneyard Podcast. That's on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, wherever. We're there. Check us out. Follow us. Give us a subscribe. Hit that notification bell somewhere down here. Hit it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Get notified every time we tweet. You're gonna thank us later. Anything else on that I'm missing? Yeah, leave us a review. 5 stars, you're best friend of the podcast. 1 or no stars, you can walk the damn plank. And then yeah. We went a lot longer than I thought we were gonna go. But good pod, Josh. Good pod.
It was good.
Artie missed a good one. So until next week, Pirate Nation, we'll talk to you later.
Go to the soccer game, please.
Peace.